hear about screwworms in South Texas? I did. I don't know how big a deal this is. I honestly don't know. It could be. Screwworm cases confirmed in Texas and in Florida. Human risk is low, but they can burrow through your skull? And then the subtexts don't freak out? Ew! Ravenous flesh-eating flies have bursted through containment barriers and have now re-emerged in the US. But don't freak out, they just might burrow through your skull. What the fuck? Did they come out of RFK's head? Was that the containment barrier? The 4 cases are all in Texas and a dog in New Mexico. This could cost the Texas economy $1.8 billion. Jesus Christ. Infestations in humans cause rapidly enlarging, painful wounds that can progress to deep tissue with risks of secondary infection, sepsis, and mortality. That is fucking gross, dude. Screwworms were eradicated from the U.S. Southwest in 1966. Oh, good. Mexico in 91. And they held the flies at bay at the Darien Gap, the border of Panama and Colombia, with consistent sterile male fly releases. But around 2022, the barrier was breached and the flies have been eating their back up. A 55-year-old man who had a screwworm infestation inside his hemorrhoids? Bro, that is actually disgusting. This made me throw up. Oh my God, what a horrendous nightmare fuel of a... Oh dear God, they have to end this. This is Texas Department of Agriculture Sid Miller in 2024 saying, opinion, dollars don't kill screwworms. The federal government has a bad habit of spending money on problems before figuring out what's really wrong. Here in Texas, we do things differently. We solve problems with proven solutions, not wasteful spending. Protecting Texas cattle from disease is always our #1 priority. We need to carefully consider the ripple effects of drastic measures like closing the border to livestock and animal products. It's a surefire way to create a crisis where there isn't one. This is crazy. It looks like it's written by ChatGPT. That's crazy. This whole thing is about how, like, don't overreact. It's not a big deal. And then now we have screwworms in Texas. That's crazy. Yeah, he goes, look, I know a thing or two about screwworms because they're in your fucking brain. Watch his CBS interview.
A rift between the Agriculture Department and Texas's Agriculture Commissioner is intensifying over the federal response to the New World screwworm fly. The Agriculture Department says the deadly parasite has infected 3 calves and 1 goat in Texas. Another case has been confirmed in a dog in New Mexico. In a statement today, Texas's Agriculture Commissioner and longtime Trump ally Sid Miller once again called out the government for not doing enough to stop the outbreak. Miller.
Fuck you, buddy! Wow! Wait, that's actually fucking crazy! You wrote a whole opinion piece in 2024 about how the government shouldn't get involved. And now it's like... they're not moving fast enough.
Said in part, quote, we have a narrow window to stop this pest before it gains a stronger foothold in the United States. Washington needs to move faster. Miller has also expressed concern about farmers not reporting screwworm cases because they're worried about quarantines and the government controlling their farms. At a press conference yesterday, fellow Texan and...
You're the reason they're worried about that. You made them all paranoid about it. And then, oh my God, that's crazy. That guy is horrible. That's insane to see those 2 things back to back. At least stay consistent, bro.
U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins was asked about Miller's comments.
That is a very unserious comment from a perhaps unserious ag commissioner with just a few months left. It is also a very dangerous suggestion, if you will.
Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller joins us now. Commissioner, thanks again for joining us. What's your response to what the secretary said?
Well, that was uncalled for. I thought it was rather childish and unstatesmanlike.
Oh my God, shut up, bro. Actually, I've never heard of this guy, but I really dislike him. Bro, you got to take the L on this one. You wrote a whole fucking piece about how it was overhyped, not a big deal. Now that it's here, it's crazy.
She thinks I'm unserious. That's not just calling it Hercules week. I'm very serious about this. I'm the most serious person, much more serious than the USDA is about stopping this threat. So I'm putting everything I've got into it.
You're more serious than the USDA is about stopping this threat. So let's just go back. The real threat isn't the screwworm itself. It's the federal government who all too often overreacts.
The USDA has been deploying sterile male flies to stop screwworms from returning, but you're proposing something instead. What is that, and why is what the USDA is doing not enough?
Well, what they're doing is the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's a definition of insanity. They're releasing 100 million sterile flies a week. been doing that for 18 months. So we've released over 7 billion sterile flies. Yet we have more cases today than when we started. And they've marched from southern Mexico 1,100 miles into Texas and New Mexico. It's not working, folks. We have a tool. The USDA has it. They come up with it. They've deployed it. They've used it in the past called the SWAS system. That's Screwworm Adult Suppression System. It's basically a fly bait. You put the fly bait out, and past it's killed from 80 to 95% of the screwworm flies. You follow up with sterile flies. The reason the sterile flies don't work is that they release 100 million flies, but half of them are females. The ideal is to get the male the sterile male to mate with a fertile female, and there's no offspring. Well, they don't mate with the fertile females. There's a fertile sterilized female right beside them, so they just mate with each other. Maybe 1 in 100,000 actually goes out and.
I mean, that might be true. That might be true. You would assume this would be more effective. Bro is making shit up. I mean, don't you guys use the messenger to determine the message too quickly? He might be right on that thing. It was effective, they just stopped. Well, no, they have released a lot of flies. I mean, clearly something is different this time because it's making progress despite a lot of flies being released. But I think, like, if you read his fucking article, doesn't he say that they should release flies? And now he's talking about how, like, oh, these idiots are releasing flies. Look, dude, look, bro, look. He's here talking about these fucking idiots are trying the fly thing. In his article, he goes, look, dollars don't kill screwworms, sterile flies do. By releasing sterile male flies in this environment, we broke the reproductive cycle. And now he's talking about how, like, oh, these fucking idiots. This guy's crazy, bro. Okay, it looks like the reason that sterile flies aren't working as well as they were before is more of the absolute gargantuan amount of flies. There are so many flies. The sheer volume of wild flies migrating from Central America and Mexico has outpaced production capabilities, so they can't dilute the infestation. Ugh, this is so gross, dude.
Well, we do have some new information this morning for you about the New World screwworm response here in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott says that the USDA is deploying sterile flies to the infected areas and is working to create a new sterile fly production facility in Edinburgh. It comes as the USDA has confirmed now 5 cases of the flesh-eating parasite here in the U.S. 3 calves and a goat in Texas, also a dog in New Mexico. The screwworm is actually a fly larva that eats living flesh instead of dead material. The females, they lay their eggs in open wounds of animals like cattle. Well, now the government is racing to bring swarms of sterile male flies to mate with those wild females. And essentially,
What was God cooking when he made the screwworm, dude? What was he on? He had a bad day, dude. He stubbed his toe on a Lego and went fucking crazy. It doesn't make any sense. He let the devil make that one as a treat. Reminds me of when Darwin learned about parasitic wasps, which made him doubt the existence of a benevolent God. It does kind of throw a wrench in things, bro. It's hard to think of a divine beauty in fucking screwworms and wasps, but one time I did shrooms during my microbiome homework and I thought I saw God guiding the phospholids together to make a membrane. You did. He only shows himself to somebody doing shrooms during homework. That's like the key in, but he did do that. I had a brain-eating amoeba once. Poor fella died of hunger. This is a guy from February 2015 talking about how Doge is cutting too much without thinking about what they're doing. And they might do something like cut screwworm sterilization and delete it, not knowing they devastated American farming. I can see the Doge tweet. We can't. Yeah, but did they actually do this? People are going to say yep without knowing. I have to look it up now. Funding was cut for a program focused on monitoring and containing the spread of New World screwworm in Central America. Yeah. 100%. It had already broken the Darien Gap before Doge. You can't say 100%, like it was already the system that they placed to stop it wasn't working. But then the you should keep monitoring it and contain the spread, and that was defunded. So yeah, 100%. And now what are we doing for response? By the way, the fact that we're hearing about it now is kind of fucked because it looks like this has been advancing through Mexico for months. And the idea of a US case was like inevitable and obvious. And we've not been treating it with any sort of panic or speed. Fucking awesome. They've just started releasing millions of sterile flies to try and stop it. They're in full combat mode now. But ideally, you've done it earlier. Damn, it's advanced 1,100 miles from southern Mexico to Texas. Can they spread through? Can screwworms spread through burgers? You cannot get screwworms through eating burgers or cooked meat. Yes! Screwworms cannot infest dead meat. As long as it doesn't get in the middle of me and my burger,